All right, slow day today, but we're finishing ahead green, $134.40. Nice basic kind of day. I didn't get too aggressive because pre-market we really didn't have much. And coming into a day like today, seeing that there's not much on the gap scanner, not much moving coming into the open, definitely calls for a day that you shouldn't really be pushing your share size all too much. And coming into RDBX, yes, hindsight, it did make a big move, but in the moment, like, I came into this day, it was like nothing moving. It was super slow. I'm not going to look at RDBX, which has no news on it. It's on a daily backside. You never really know. It's just pumping off pure mean volatility. You never really know if it's just going to have a nice big dump. And so that's why, it definitely has... definitely puts on a little bit of caution lights, which that's why I kind of sized down a little bit to 100 share increments. Kind of just traded the range here and traded some breakouts. Here was a nice one. I did 500 shares actually at 440, which is a $2,000 position size, taking some off from that breakout and then adding back for 450, taking it off at 452. And so that wasn't too bad trade. And then I also just kind of traded as it kind of went up into the extension. I was just kind of trading the range, like buying the dip, selling any pops, buying the dip, selling the pops, and then consolidated some more. This was a really good entry here. If you could have got in on the reclaim of this 9 EMA. Hindsight, I should have put in my starter 100 shares here at under $5. And if it did dip down below here to 475 or so, then I could add another 100 shares with a stop here at the low at 465, because this was a beautiful 50-cent breakout with a quick 1 minute pullback and another 30-40 cents. That was probably the best move of the day, as it reclaimed this topping tail 1 minute breakout. That's bullish to me. I love trading reclaims of the 9 EMA and reclaims of topping tails. That's usually a sign that it's going to be a pretty big shakeout for short squeeze for the shorts. And so hindsight, I should have put a starter in here. Added if it did go lower, but in this case it did curl up, and I should have added for that break of 505, which was the previous high. But that's just hindsight talking. But really, that would have been a really good trade. And here again, actually, for the reclaim, for the breakback over this pivot at 570 here, would have been a beautiful trade. So you had this huge flush, not a huge flush, but sort of a dump here. And then it curled back up. And this is a reverse head and shoulders right here. This is a nice higher low. Now we're going to break over that pivot. So for the break and pivot, you add your starter, and then you add more on, maybe take some profits up at 575, but then get back in as it's holding now 570. It came back down to 570 to retest. Now it's holding. So that's where you put in your starter, and that's where you add for the break of 593, the previous high, and then move up to 6. Maybe add for the break of 6. It's a little bit of aggressive, but it would have worked out in that case, and that was another beautiful breakout, another potential 40-cent move right there. And I didn't really trade as aggressively as I wanted to, at least on these moves. Hindsight, this would have been another really, really good trade. And I remember seeing it down here, but I hesitated. I didn't trust my analysis of this trade, because it reclaimed the 9 EMA. Volume is now increasing. It would have been a great trade. I just didn't trust myself. And RDBX didn't really have news on it. It's just kind of a mean volatility stock. Never really know if it's just going to have a giant false breakout and dump 20%. We've been seeing that the past couple of trading days, where and out of nowhere, out of the blue, you see a 20% drop. Like on PGY that one day, ADXN, a bunch of other stocks, a lot of other stocks, just offerings or whatnot, just giant dumps in the market just from supply have been happening. So, and RDBX, there's nothing really supporting it other than just a sheer volume on it. So, and especially if it's the backside, you never know when the people are going to start dumping their shares from bag holders all the way up here. So that was it on RDBX. I did trade SIGA as well. Oh, and RDBX, I was looking kind of like a reversal here, back over through 570 up to 6. Never really came. So we'll go to SIGA, tried trading, tried catching a breakout on these, but kept getting myself shaken out. And it never really held up. Here I went for a quick pullback at 16.16 for that break of 16.34, maybe a 1 minute pullback, quick run over 16.34. And on the daily, looks not bad. I thought this would actually rip over and run pretty strong over 17.50 during power hour. That's why I was kind of getting a little bit aggressive up here. But it never worked out. REVB wasn't too bad. Here I traded the open, taking my starter here at 60, taking some off to kind of manage my risk because it got sold down to 158. Because you never know on these first 1 minute candles, they could immediately flip red on a blink of an eye, and you could be down 10, 20 cents. So that's why I kind of wait. After it kind of pops up, I'll wait for it to kind of, it'll always kind of get sold into a little bit, and then you can kind of feel the buyer supporting this, and that's what I look for to take my first entry. And sometimes you'll see the open. And the other day we had some stock that just opened up and it just ripped like 30% through the high. I forget what stock it was, but it ripped like 30% through the high. No even like volatility in the first 1 minute candle. It just went straight up. I forget what that was, but I think it was on, I'm going through my calendar here. TKLF. Yeah, it was TKLF. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Yeah, this candle here. Sometimes you'll just get an open and just go straight up. But more often than not, we will get a little bit of kind of chop in that first 1 minute candle, but it does give a lot of opportunity to make some money. Here on, what was it? RDBX. And so I was waiting for that support to come in, so that's why I got in, or I got out at 158 in case it did start dumping. But I did hold 500 shares, and I added back at 59 as I saw that there's support in there. And I sold at 62, kind of still holding a starter share size, adding back at 71. And I was really looking for that break over 188, which is the pre-market high, all the way down back here. And I thought it would just be a nice quick pop through 188 up to 2. And so that's why I was getting a little bit of aggressive, getting a little antsy. Got in at 165 for first 1 minute pullback, selling some at 71, selling the rest at 70. I was really kind of looking for a bigger pullback to the 90 EMA, kind of retest the 90 EMA, but it did consolidate over the 90 EMA and then popped up through it without ever touching it. So those are a little bit sketchy because you're always taking a little bit more risk than you think, because you never know if it's just going to reverse on you and fall right back into the 90 EMA, which you were looking for before, but didn't actually turn out. So here I did add back at 72 for the breakout of 174, taking some off at 174, still kind of holding a starter share size, which is 250 shares, then kind of scalping the range in here, still holding 250 shares. I was thinking we would see us bounce over through the 9 EMA all the way up to 188. That's what I was looking for. And at this point, I'm up $122 on this stock. And so if I was holding on to those gains, I could be up $250 today. But I ended up averaging down into 69. And I was really adamant on seeing this bounce. And I thought this was strong because you see these huge green volumes in the first 5-6 minutes. 2.5 million, 2.3 million, 2.4 million shares on very strong green candles. And then you see a low volume pullback. I thought this would just be a quick dip, maybe a dip to the 90 EMA, and then a rip up to 188 and up to $2. But it just kept fading, and I was so stubborn on it. And I didn't end up cutting it until 157, and I gave back all of those gains. Now I'm only up $8 on the stock. But thank God I was able to pivot to RDBX, and because RDBX I was able to kind of get solid base hit green on the day, which isn't too bad. KAVL wasn't too bad. Also pre-market, we had a nice dip, but I did get faked out up here at 72, bought at 72, kind of adding higher for that break of 180, and then dumped, sold at 169. Then it consolidated a little bit, reclaimed the VWAP after kind of retesting the lows here. So I took my starter at 169, adding at 178 for the break of 180, taking it off up here at 85 and 79. And here kind of just taking that 1 minute pullback, looking for that break of the next high of 187. Maybe move up to $2. But the breakout didn't really have sustaining volume, so that's why I kind of hesitated on this 1 minute pullback. And it did end up getting bought up, and I FOMO'd kind of into the high here at 185 because I thought we'd see a nice pop, but we didn't end up seeing the pop. Took it off for a small loss there. But would have been bad if I got down in here at 174 and just sold at 185 or 184. That would have been a 6% gain right there. But I hesitated down here in this first 1 minute pullback because it was underneath 181, the previous breakout level. So it's kind of like a false breakout on the 1 minute. But I don't know. But it didn't close. See, this candle didn't close up here. So it still kind of had support down here at 174. So if you kind of erase this, it still is kind of valid since this candle didn't close all the way up here. But that's kind of just hindsight talking as well. But yeah, KAVL, finished that one up $25. Kind of unfortunate we didn't see more on it. And then GOVX, the last one I traded. This one did make a nice move here. But it was a low price stock. It didn't really move kind of how I like stocks to move. There wasn't much meat on the bone for scalping. Maybe 1 or 2 cents. And I don't have that patience to really be holding for 5, 6, 7 minutes. That's also something I need to work on. But then again, like sometimes like you want to hold for that 5, 6, 7 minutes, and the stocks that you do hold, like for me, REVB, you be holding through a backside. So it's like the ones that you do hold, they don't work in your favor, and the ones that you don't hold, they work in your favor. So it's kind of, I don't know. But then again, you could have an argument here that it did go underneath the 9 EMA, so your stop should have been down here at 167, 166. So, but for GOVX, it is on the front side. So definitely better to be holding on a front side stock than a stock that's in a range or on a back side. Anyways, here, just kind of scalping the lows here, small size. I didn't have much confidence on GOVX. I didn't really want to get back the profits that I made today. Even though I'm small green, it's a very slow day. And I knew if I gave back too much profits, I wouldn't be able to make that back today. I might, because there's not many good quality setups and there's not numerous setups today. There's not very many setups today. So kind of just happy to take my small green day and then just going to come back when the day's hotter because today there wasn't much. And so that's just kind of been my philosophy the past couple weeks, which kind of kept me green this whole month of July. I actually have not been doing bad for July relatively. 3 red days. And so really my philosophy is like a lot of these days are slow, but if I could just get small green by like 10 o'clock, by 10 o'clock, I'm already sizing down to a 10th share size. I'm down to trading 100 shares, 250 shares at most. I'm not looking to swing for big hits anymore after 10 o'clock because, you know, by 10 o'clock, the writing's on the wall. If it's nothing has really moved or opened up by 10 o'clock, then you got to start thinking about either protecting the profits that you've already made on the day, or if you're at least red. If you're big red, then you got to start thinking about sizing down and trying to at least scrape the bottom of the barrel to try to make your way back to break even. Or if you're a small red, trying to scrape your way back to break even after 10 o'clock. I mean, if you keep swinging after 10 o'clock, is a good chance that you go deeper and deeper into the red on some of these very slow days. But some days like Friday, we had opportunity almost like all day. And one day we had PLRX, which gave opportunity for 4 hours straight. And so on those days, which we'll have every once in a while, then that's when it's okay, at least in my perspective, to be pushing my share size a little bit more and wanting to take a little bit more risk than I would usually. And right now I'm trying to take bigger size. It's just like, I wake up to a market like this and you see RDBX. It's very risky because it's just kind of like momentum for no reason off of just straight, probably like a short squeeze or shorts covering off the lows on the daily chart. And so I don't know. I'm tied between like just increasing my overall share size from base starter size to my adding or like getting more aggressive size, or versus just like kind of coasting where I'm at, being happy with my small gains, $100, $200, $300 on okay days or on slow days, and then waiting for a hotter market to size up. So I'm not really sure, what I should do, if I should just kind of size up even though the market is not hot, because I kind of did that in the months of April and May. The market wasn't really that hot, but I was still sizing up, kind of just sizing up across the board, like from my base starter share size to my increments, adding into like the highs or into a breakout. And I was very consistent. So maybe that should be my metric, is just if I'm consistently green, then it's okay to size up my base share size, because I'm showing that I can be consistently green. But on months like June, definitely not smart to be sizing up when you're not very consistent. But see, like April and May, I was able to size up from like 20 shares at a time to 250 shares by the end of May. And then June, I was just kind of choppy, so I didn't really size up much. And now July, I'm starting to get consistent again on this new share size. And so maybe now it's time soon, maybe for August, to just across the board, like try to up it by like 10% every week or so. Like I'm starting here 250 share starter sizes on stocks under $5. Maybe I up it to 350 starter sizes for a week, and then the next week 450. And the next week 550, or in stocks that are over $5, instead of doing 100 share starters, do 200 share starters and 300 share starters, and also on my increments that I add to a position. Maybe that's what I should start doing, even though the market isn't exactly flaming hot right now. So because I still think that it can work, even if I'm just kind of scalping off the lows. Anyways, I'm just going to take this, be happy to be green today, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. Probably going to go to the beach and go for a quick swim, check out the waves, and going to come back and make dinner, read a book, meditate, kind of do some stuff, calming stuff, de-stressing stuff. I kind of like just relaxing a little bit after a trading session. It's very important to not always be doing something every minute of the day, because you need to set aside some time where you can kind of do things without a distraction, whether that be reading a book, meditating, sitting in a room, kind of just like with a journal and just kind of contemplating or whatever. So if you're green today, awesome job. Not the hottest day. So if you're a green, you're definitely doing good. If you're still watching, do hit the thumbs up button. Also, comment down below and consider subscribing if you're not yet a subscriber. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next day trading recap. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.